Shalom.
And welcome to the Practical Parsha. Actually, I can say we're in our second series. We already went through the whole Chumash, the whole Torah last year. So we're in our second series, and we're on Parshat Noach. Okay, and therefore, I would like to do is start from the middle of the Parsha. Okay, we kind of cover a lot of the beginning of the story, the beginning end. We'll cover the middle from the middle of the Parsha. So in our book, it's on page 18. It's chapter 19, the book of Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 19, verse 15. Okay, so this is at the end of the flood, the end of all the devastation. Remember, he said about the bird. He finds out the land is dry. He knows it's going to be time to leave the ark. It's going to be time now to resettle the world back to regular life. However, he can't leave on his own. Hashem put in there, which is a fantastic message that you learn from here, where Hashem commands him, Hashem directs him to leave the ark. Hashem directs him to leave the ark. And let's read it. Elohim spoke to Noach saying, God spoke to Noach saying, depart from the ark, yourself and your wife, your sons and your sons' wives with you. Every living thing that is with you, of all flesh, including birds, animals, every creeping creature that creeps on the earth, let them depart with you. Let them spread over the earth and be fruitful and multiply on the earth. Now, sure, please, no charge. So, what happens here? What's going on? So first of all, I said the message. I jumped ahead of myself. Hashem is telling him to leave. And this is actually very important, just on a practical. He said this is, we call it the Practical Parsha series. Think about it, whether it's in work, whether it's in a parent-child relationship, student-teacher, any time somebody's in some kind of a setting where there is an authority, there's a hierarchy. Noach didn't just say, okay, time to go, let's open up the door and we're out of here. No. Who put you in? What did it say before? What did it say in the beginning? If you look in chapter 7, okay, chapter 7, I'm sorry. Look, chapter 7, verse 1, Hashem said to Noach, come into the ark, right? You and your household, thank you. Yeah, for you I have seen, right? So Hashem actually put it in there. Look on top of page 16 in our book, which is verse 16 in chapter 8. What does it say? And Hashem then protectively shut him in the ark. So Hashem put him there, Hashem shut the door. You don't just go and open it on your own and just go out and say, okay, I'm out of here, time to go. You know what I mean? It's almost like, and we even perhaps can experience it even in very good settings. This is not, I think of what I'm saying now, it can sound to people like, oh, that's a little harsh. So what, I have to ask permission to stand up? I have permission? No. But you remember whenever you fly a plane, you please remain in your seats until the seatbelt signs off. Come on, the plane's hit. I understand. I don't understand. These are the rules and regulations. And there's a lot to say about it. Because really, I used to think always, come on, stop being so, ridiculous. The plane is here on the ground till the seatbelt sign. So that little tiny thing didn't flicker off and I can't stand up and I can't jump up and get my back. No, because we haven't fully stopped the plane. It's still potentially in motion. We might have to, I don't know. Whatever the rules are, whatever the things are, that's the rule. And that's interesting. You see already here, the Torah is telling us not just about the food you can't eat and the food you can't eat. Some people think that's all the Torah is about. Shabbat? Can I turn on what? No. How to live a practical life. Just a pleasant, harmonious, practical life. And this is a very good example of it. Let's continue. What does Hashem say to him? Hashem says, notice something very interesting. He says, go out, yourself and your wife, your sons and your sons' wives with you. Okay? And then he concludes in the end of verse 17, that you should be fruitful and multiply on the earth. Very, very interesting thing here. Counter that with the instructions that he received to enter the ark. Go back to the beginning of chapter 7, okay, on page 14 in our book. Hashem said to Noah, come into the ark, you and your household, for I have seen you as righteous before me. Right? Then Hashem says to him, as he tells him to actually go in, Hashem says to him, look in verse 13, okay? It says, on that very day, Noach came along with Shem, Ham, and Japheth, his three sons, the sons of Noach, Noach's wife, and the three wives of the sons. So you see the wives and the men are going in separately. Why is that? So we know that for the entire year, and it took actually exactly an entire year, from when they entered the ark until now, what we're learning now, when they were told to embark from the ark, they were not allowed to have any marital relations. They were not allowed to, be fruitful and multiply. Yeah, not allowed to.
For a whole year?
A whole year. Okay? They were not allowed to. The only ones that actually did, and they were punished, was Ham, the son of Noach, and it says the raven. And that's the reason it says why the raven says it used to be, the Medrash tells us it used to be a very beautiful bird, and that's why it turned black, pitch black. It's an ugly bird now. Raven is a disgusting bird, right? As a punishment. And that actually also explains why Ham, it says Ham also was originally light skinned. There were no dark skin. We're not saying anyone is beautiful or not. At the time, it was something which was an anomaly. You have your whole family, everybody looks one way, he turned black.
Who, him?
Ham and his wife.
He turned black?
Yeah. No, he turned black. It was a punishment. Now, it must have not been the same. We're not talking about, people who are olive skinned, come from different countries and different places. That's a different type. We're talking about black, ugly skin. Why? As a punishment. Hashem said, you went against the rules. Everybody else respected the rule.
What does that say?
I'm telling you here, this is where it points it out. This is what we learned. That Hashem said, you go in, you and your sons, and your wives, and your sons' wives. So Hashem puts them separately. The contrast to that is what we're learning right now. He said, come out, you and your wife, your sons and their wives. Everybody together, and procreate. So now he says, it's okay, it's time to procreate, you're allowed. Well,
where in Genesis does it talk about Ham and Raven?
Oh, that's in the Midrash. In the Midrash. The Torah doesn't mention it explicitly. It's implied. It's implied. I can point out to you where it's implied. I'll tell you quickly offhand, being that you asked. Number one, when Noah sent the bird out, okay, originally he sent out the raven, the male raven. And what does it say? He kept on circling the thing and he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to go away. Why didn't he want to go away? Why didn't he want to go anywhere? He says because he was suspicious. Oh, maybe Noah has his eye on this better half.
That happened here?
No,
The raven.
The raveness. I don't know what you call it.
Oh,
okay?
I see.
That's what he thought in his mind. Later, not too long after this, after they embark from there, and Noach plants, and immediately has the vine, and he has the grapes. And what does Noach do? He assaulted him. Okay? Sexual. Okay? So you see that Ham, the same person, it's a repeat, almost like a repeat offender, somebody who's promiscuous there, shows his colors then later. The raven, as the sages point out to us in the Midrash, the raven, why was he suspicious of Noach? Why would you even think something like that? So it says that one who is guilty of something usually suspects others of the same thing. So since he was guilty of not having proper sexual parameters, as he should have at that time, that was the ones that God said. So he was the one who was so guilty and suspicious of others. Why would Noach, an old man, who's 600 years old already, what would he be interested in this bird for? You know what I mean? But that's what it was in his mind, because that's what his whole mind was occupied with, this stupid bird. And likewise with Ham. It's interesting. You see, so I just broke something to you. You thought there's only crazy people nowadays. Yeah, there's crazy people all the way from the beginning. That makes you feel better. I don't know how that is some consolation.
Who wrote
The Midrash is who actually wrote it. There are various Midrashim that were recorded. It's not a novel. It wasn't written by anyone. It wasn't authored by anyone. It was recorded. There are certain known Midrashim that were recorded by certain rabbis, meaning they were committed to write it down so it remains for future generations. But what it is it's passed down from generation to generation all the way back to Moses. So, if I may, that is the oral law.
Correct.
The oral tradition. Okay, remember, not everything is written in the Torah in detail. Remember, this is very, very few details are written here. What was chosen to be written here? What we know. Here, look, read the Torah. Why? We don't know. Hashem was the one who said to Moshe, write this, exactly these words. That's what he wrote, what he was told to write.
Okay, so it's oral.
It's the oral tradition. That's all these stories, all these anecdotes, all these lessons, all these metaphors, all the rules, all were passed down generation to generation. Just like how do we know how to keep Shabbat today and what is a pure tefillin supposed to look like and what's kosher and what's not? If you only read what's in the Torah, it's very, very vague. There's almost absolutely no clarity in what to do, what not to do, how to do, how not to do, what is, what isn't. That's what you need all over, right? It's very ambiguous. It's like, keep Shabbat, rest. What does that mean? I should lay on my back for 24 hours? What does that mean? So the oral law is not an additive, is not a complement to the Torah. It is the Torah. Without the oral law, we don't have Judaism. More than without the written law, we don't have Judaism. The oral law is the power, is the true, so to speak, power force of Judaism. That's what makes Judaism what it is. That is Judaism.
Sure, it's like reading a medicine book without nobody to explain to you.
It's more than that.
But
No, it's more than that. Because if imagine somebody has an absolute photographic memory and can remember page after page, they may be able to start to cross-reference. Ooh, this chemical. Still, you're right. How do you diagnose? How do you know which ones to take? 100%. You need to have. But I'm saying it's that and more. I agree with you, but it's that and more.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so you see now the contrast. When they went in, God said, no real family life. It means everything stood at standstill. The common, or I should say the basic explanation that's given for it, which actually makes sense, is a logical one, is that when the world is in a state of sadness, a state of suffering, it's not appropriate to engage in typical regular family life. That means, even though you, Noach, and all these animals, obviously God said are righteous and you're going to be spared and you're going to be the continuation of the rest of the universe for eternity, so. And even though those people may have been very wicked, and that's why they're getting what God says they deserve. I'm not saying they deserve it. God says they deserve it. What better authority? Still, it's a time of sadness. It's not a time of, so when other people, it tells us, in the one hand, I do want to clarify, in the one hand, it doesn't mean that because there's people out there in some third world country somewhere suffering and maybe malnourished that I shouldn't have a piece of steak. That's not what it means. Okay? Well, we're talking about in your society, your surroundings, people are suffering. You can't just, close yourself up in a bubble because you happen to have a few more bucks than them and just splurge and enjoy life like just being a party and being oblivious to what's going on around you. In other words, to a certain extent, yes, you have to partake in your suffering. Not to the extent when you stop eating at anything, I'm going to eat just dry bread because somewhere out there they would kill for that piece of dry bread. That's not realistic. That's ridiculous. But like I once shared with you, there's a comedian that says, when I was a child, my mother always kept on telling me, in Africa the children are suffering. Eat your food. And he said, one day I had the privilege of traveling to Africa. And as I landed, I came out there and I saw some people and I said to them, look, and he's a little overweight. He says, look what I did for you. All these years I ate for you. Are you happy? Of course, we don't mean that either. Like, you're not contributing anything to them by, malnourishing yourself or by overeating. We're talking about on a practical level. In this case, God said, eat, sleep. However, certain things, it's not a time to procreate. When the whole world is being decimated, it's not a time for you to build families. Wait. And interesting, you need to have God to tell you that. Because otherwise procreating is not only an ideal, but it's a fundamental of not just Judaism, but humanity. That's the first commandment that Adam received. Not only humans, animals, everyone. Hashem wants the world to continue to grow and to have a constant continuance. The continuity of the world is paramount. That's what you see all along for the Torah. In this case, Hashem says, suspend it. Now Hashem says, you're good to go. Here's the question. After he says to them, go out, you, together with your wives, which obviously implies you're good to go. You can resume normal family life. Why does Hashem have to end off and be fruitful and multiply on the earth?
Clarifying it?
What greater clarity do you need? I'm releasing that. Before I told you go in separately and you sleep in separate rooms, you know, there should be a certain, you know what I mean? One more.
He's releasing them.
But he released them already.
Well, why does
It's
he
no
say
more
that?
world. We got to populate the world.
What was your question?
Understandable. But I'm saying is, once Hashem says to him, leave you and your wife, your sons, together with their wives, that implies that's releasing them from that prohibition, right? Which was prevalent during the duration of the Mabul, of the flood, the whole year. So why does he have to add those extra words? What is it emphasizing? What is he trying to say with it? It's already been said. That's my point. In the Torah, things are not repeated. God doesn't repeat his words. God's not like that bad parent that says the same thing in 7 different ways within 2 minutes. Me, you looking at it. Okay? God says it. He's clear. It's clear. The answer is, the Midrash tells us that Noah and his sons, they heard from God. It's okay to have families now. Now you can continue, resume lives. But they weren't excited to do it. They weren't eager to do it. They didn't really have intentions of doing it. Why? Because they thought to themselves, who knows? This is what the Midrash says. Maybe we're going to create all these generations, and again they're going to sin. They're human beings. They're fallible. They're going to make mistakes, and again the world's going to be destroyed. So what's the point? We don't want that to happen. We don't want to, so to speak, create these generations that are going to come to that. And that's why Hashem had to emphasize it and say, no, it's not that I release the prohibition. It's a command. Do it. Be fruitful and multiply. Here's the question. Didn't Hashem promise them that never again will there be a flood? Never again will they be destroyed? So what were they concerned about? What were they concerned about? In other words, you invest in a business and it fails. You don't want to invest in the same exact business again. You're scared, you're apprehensive, and it's quite sensible, it makes sense. However, what happens if God comes and says, it's not going to fail? That's all I need. I'll borrow money, I'll put on my credit card. You know what I mean? So what are they worried about? God said it's not going to fail. There's never going to be destruction of mankind, of the world again. So the Rebbe explains, notice that they weren't just concerned about the world being destroyed. They were concerned about their future generations are going to sin and do the wrong thing again. They, having been so righteous, and spent this time in utopia, as I'm going to expound upon soon, a utopian spiritual experience together with God. They saw God's miracles. They saw everything. They saw both the good, the devastation, everything. The power of God like we would never see in our lives. They couldn't imagine, I'm going to father children, I'm going to mother children, that their children, and who knows, maybe their children's children are going to sin and turn against God again. That is their destruction. I understand God's not going to physically destroy the world. I don't want that. I don't want to be part of that. That's what Hashem said. Sorry. You're doing it. And this is reminiscent of the story, the famous story of the king Hiskiel, the Judean king, who was very, very righteous. As you'll soon hear, he was so righteous to the extent that he had prophetic powers. He knew the future. He knew his destiny. It says this is one of the things he or she is going to die. No one knows the day of their death. He did. He knew how long he was meant to live. And he became ill. He fell ill. And the prophet came to him and said to him, pack your bags, because you're not going to stand up from this illness. I'm quoting the words you're not going to get up from this illness. He goes, something's wrong here. Because I know in the calculations, I'm supposed to live another, whatever, I don't remember what it was, 10 or 15 years. So how's this possible? He said, yes, because it's a punishment for you for not having had children, not having gotten married and had children. He says, yes, but I know that if I have children, I know that my son, he knew what the future holds. He saw the future. My son is going to do terrible, terrible, terrible sins to bring, to raise the ire of God that's actually going to bring destruction upon the people. So I don't want that to happen. And the prophet said to him, and the Talmud quotes it, in God's plans, don't try to mess with God's plans. You have to do what you have to do. Whatever will be, even if you know what might be. But you have to do what's incumbent upon you. So he prayed, and he promised that he's going to get married. And the prophet came back and told him that God granted you another, I think it was 10 or 15 years.
15.
Not 15 years. And he lived another 15 years. And guess what? He had that son. And that son was wicked.
Very wicked.
Menashe.
Menashe was...
Yeah. And I said, yeah.
Prophet Isaiah.
Yes. And Menashe was the son. And Menashe was the one who put an idol in the inner chamber of the temple, which was the beginning of the end of the destruction of the temple. That's when the fate was sealed on Jerusalem, up there in heaven. So he was right. But it's none of your business. You've got to do what you got to do. Now, you have to try your best. You have to raise your children. Not say, well, what can I do? This is what society dictates. And, you forced me to have children. You forced me to have a family. You forced me to continue doing what I have to do. Fine, but, let it be what it is. No, you can't just say, well, I'm just going to throw it up in the air and let it fall where it falls. You have to try. But the rest, don't try to outsmart God. Don't try to intervene and, try to play around with his plans. Okay? If you happen to be privy to what destiny holds, that doesn't give you a right to stop doing your duty. That's what Hashem was saying tonight. It's possible. The people are going to sin in the future. People are going to be corrupt. But you have to procreate. You have to continue the world. What will be? That's my plan. The good, the bad, the up, the down. It's going to be a roller coaster for thousands of years. But that's my plan. Not yours. And therefore you don't tamper with it. That's a very powerful lesson. Because we have situations in our lives where sometimes, we have an opportunity to do something good, an opportunity to try to influence, an opportunity to do a mitzvah, to do a good deed, and we say, yeah, but if I do it, then who knows what can lead to, where this person's going to come, what's going to happen? Stop right there. You have an opportunity to procreate. Now, procreate can also be in a spiritual sense, which the Rebbe emphasized very strongly. You know the taste of Judaism? You can now give birth to another person, which is interesting, by the way. We say in the Shema, every day. We say twice a day, at least. We say the Shema. What do we say? Vishinantam levanecha v'dibarta. You should teach it to your children. Okay, I taught it to my children. Am I done? We still have to say the Shema? The sages tell us, and it's obviously derived from various places in the Torah. Children is a reference to your students, to your disciples. And the Rebbe says, and he brings it from the sources, anybody that can potentially be your student, anybody that can potentially be your disciple is included in that. In other words, if you have the ability to teach to someone else, that person becomes your child. And interestingly, without getting into a lengthy discussion, when you teach somebody else Torah, you're actually bringing them to life. So we have the potential to go over to a 90-year-old person that never learned Torah, or never learned that part of Torah, or never was privy to that mitzvah, and teach it them. And even though they're double our age, we are now giving birth to them spiritually. We're giving them life. So what the message over here is, say, yeah, but I'll teach it, and then who knows where it can end up, what's going to be, and then what's and then. You have an opportunity now to make more children, do it. You have an opportunity to go out there and teach, yeah, there might be a price. God has His plans, but you have to do it. And you have to do it with joy. Along those lines, there's another very, very powerful message, very similar to that, in this same verse. In the English translation that we have, what does he say? Let them depart with you. In verse 17. Let them depart with you. But now if you look at the word, look at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 lines from the top in the Hebrew. Second to the last word. You see a little tiny mark over the word? Haitze? Yes, right there. Haitze. You see that?
This one?
So if you, yeah, right, no, right there. You see that little tiny, it's like a little circle. Look at the bottom. The very same word, look at the bottom. He says, Hoitze ksiv. I'll explain to you a very interesting concept. There are certain words in the Torah, which again, this is passed down by tradition, that they're written in one way, but they're read in a slightly different way. This word, Haitze, needs to be written the way it appears here for reading purposes. Hey, Yud, Tzadik, Aleph. In the Torah, it's written Hey, Vav, Tzadik, Aleph. And if you read it the way it's written, it has a totally different meaning, actually. Haitze is the way it's pronounced. It's translated here. Let them go out with you. In other words, let them depart with you. With a Vav, the way it's written in the Torah, if you read it literally like that, without being aware of the tradition that it's supposed to be read slightly different, it spells the word Hotze, which means forcibly taken out. There's a difference between go out with them, have them go out with you, or remove them. In other words, what the Torah says and what the Torah writes, both of them have a message. The public message here is, or the clearer narrative is, it's time to leave. Have them all go out with you, depart, abandon it, and finish with that phase of their life and move on now to procreating and inhabiting the world, as he says, and let them swarm over the world. The way it's written in the Torah, which is the subliminal message, force them out. Question: why would they have to force them out? Can you imagine being stuck in this ship? I mean, how big was it? Even on the most luxurious cruise ship. If I tell you you're going on a cruise, 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you can get off land, you're not going off. You get the best food. After a month, you say, I'm jumping. Just get me out of here. You know what I mean? A year? I said a year later? A year later? A whole year. It's a whole year for when God closes the get me out of here. You have to force me out. Why would you have to force me out? Every single animal is just like, wow. Real world, get me. Why would I have to be forced out? Actually, to answer this question, I want to ask you another question. I want to see, let's use our imagination over here. How big was this ark? How big was it already? It was enormous.
Yeah.
But
Torah gave you all the specific.
It wasn't that big. If you think about the thousands of species of all kinds of animals and bugs and worms and birds, and they all fit into one place. I mean, lions with little rabbits, with tigers, with every. What? Listen, I don't want to think about the stench. I'm not even going to explore that. I have a question for you. How do they all survive? How do they all survive? They didn't kill each other? What's going on? How did they survive for a whole year? I mean, there were animals, they're carnivores, they eat other animals. So you say Noach brought them food and stuff. Fantastic. But they still have certain instincts, right? Nothing happened. The answer to that question will answer the other question. The answer is, the Midrash tells us that what Noach and his children experienced, and all those animals that were there, was a taste, a sampling of what will be when Mashiach comes, where it says that the wolf will lie alongside the lamb. There will be no evil. In other words, in that ark, they was, they say back to the future? No, they were ahead to the future. Okay? They were transported in time to what's going to be after Mashiach comes. It was utopia. It was utopia. An instinct. There was no evil. There was no bad. There was no feces all over the place. You can imagine a whole year of all these elephants making it. Oh! Yeah, I can't even say that. When I was a kid, I used to think, oh my gosh, what would it smell like in there? No! It was utopia. It was amazing. Yes, he had to get food. Yes, it says that Noach got a little beating. Sometimes he was late. He was running around the whole time. That's true. But the atmosphere, the environment, the emotional environment was so peaceful, was so tranquil. They're like, we don't want to leave. We like it here. We really like it here. Who wants to go away from this? Who wants to leave this? It's like being on a fantastic vacation and that last few hours that you have to go home, you're not anxious because you're worried you're going to pack everything to go back home. It's like, gotta go back. Tomorrow back to work, next day. You start feeling anxious, at least I do, because you want to hang on to it, you want to hold on to this, you want to stay there. What is Hashem's message? No. Out. God's cool. God's being benevolent. God saved them. The answer to us, and this is a very practical thing, and this goes along the lines of the message that I said about procreating. Life's not about living in this luxurious utopia. Life's about being out there, about making it happen. In other words, it's not that God is cheap on the pleasure. He doesn't want us to have pleasure. He wants us to have pleasure. But that's not the purpose for why he created us and made the world. Why did he create us? Why did he make the world? As he said to man, you are there to work and to safeguard the world. You're here to toil. You're here to work. You're not here to just have fun all day. And that, by the way, goes into very much when people say, you think about it sometimes, is that your whole purpose in life that you tell them? I'm working for my retirement. So in other words, what you're saying, right now, while I'm 20, 30, 40, 50 years old, I'm really wasting my time. It's not the purpose of my life. The purpose of my life is, when I'm 65 and I have enough money, I can just play golf for 10 years. Till that bus pulls up and I, spend 20 years and I got to go on the bus and I'm gone. That's your purpose? I'm not saying people should work to their last breath, toil the same way they did when they're 20. My point is, we're here for a purpose. We're here to work. We're here to generate. Each person our own way. We're here to be, the word is, productive. Staying in the ark, in this utopia, time hasn't come for it yet. That's after you finish working. When Mashiach comes, that's when we're going to get to it. And that's the message. The message also to us. Sometimes people, even living in this world, we do have a certain utopian reality. Mm-hmm. For example, somebody who is privy to the Torah and to the mitzvot, and they know the taste of Shabbat, and go, I'm going to seclude myself. I'm going to live in a little enclave. It's just me and my friends and people who are like-minded. We're going to do our service of Hashem and grow spiritually. That's utopia. No. And this is clearly, you can already hear. You see the signature on this. This is the Rebbe's message. No. Go out there. It's difficult, of course. It's cold. It's hot. I'm going to be exposed. Yeah, it's tough. But what does Hashem say? Force enough. Time to get to work. You can't just, that's not the ultimate ideal. Just staying back there and go, hey, I got it good here. Leave me alone with the rest of the world. And that's the message. Gotta get to work. Gotta make it happen. Good. Shalom.